Hello, everyone. This is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full time. I've been doing this with my fiance Anetta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So this is everything we are going to be shipping out today on Monday after the weekend. We had like a crazy good weekend. Finally, we had like a really bad month. So end of November was starting to actually be pretty good, like better than normal. And then this is pretty good too. And then we are running short on time, so I'm going to have to try to go through this, but I will still explain stuff. But yeah, like packing all of this stuff and getting out, this is probably going to take us till like almost till post office being closed. All right, so the first thing right here is Navia Draft. I've never seen this before. This is a Bandai Collectibles game right here. So these would be little booster packs. This one was already open. So I showed all the figures that were already in it. I had a couple of these, like 4 of these I got. I've never heard of this game before. It looked kind of cool. Yeah, there's like weird dials that you flip over, and it kind of shows like different tactical moves they can do on one side versus the other. This sold for $10.49 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping, so I'll just save us a bunch of time right now. All right, moving along, we have 7 Urkai. These are orcs for Lord of the Rings, but this is for a specific game. It was Lord of the Rings like combat text or something. I actually remember getting a starter set when I was a kid back in the day. So when I saw these, I was like, oh, I actually know what these are. But the weird thing is someone took them off of the hex bases and put them on these like Games Workshop circular bases or something. So I disclosed that. So they kind of look cooler. The hexes were kind of like big and chunky to play the game because the map was hexes. These sold for $16.80. So yeah, people like Lord of the Rings. The orcs are pretty cool too. All right, moving along, we have, let me see, this is a German book. I have a lot of stuff all over the place, so I tried to organize it before shooting the what sold video. I Wehrmacht or something right here. So this is probably be like a World War II. Let's see, history of the German army in World War II hardcover book. People always buy the military books. Obviously, people really dig into like World War II and Germany and stuff specifically. This sold for $10.49. That's actually one of the military type of books that when we get them from the people we get military books from, we don't get that many. So when I see them, I grab them because other people are aware that people buy these and read up on it. All right, moving along. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, we have another, I think it's like an audio set. Where did I put it? It's going to be right over here. I'm going to be looking all over the place for stuff. The Return of the Kings right here. So this is pretty cool. I think it's just going to be a bunch of CDs and you can listen to The Return of the Kings. I've never actually listened to an audiobook. I've had it recommended to me by a lot of people at this point just because normally like when I'm working, obviously like with eBay and stuff, I can't be holding a book and reading, but I can be listening to something. It still distracts me. $11.20 for that one. All right, next up. Oh boy, I don't know if I can get this. This is going to be something that Anetta grabbed at a estate sale. I generally don't like big stuff like this. Susina, I think that's Italian. I probably said that wrong. I think this just means like kitchen, I think in Italian. So Anetta said someone in like a really popular rich area bought this. So they're probably going to put this in their house, which is pretty cool. I don't know anything about it. She just happened to pre-look where that was being sent to. This thing's pretty heavy. This sold for $16, which is pretty good. I remember this estate sale. We actually spent $35 on everything because at first I was stressed, but it was someone that we normally buy stuff from at estate sales. And she was just like, she looked at everything. She was like, okay, $35. And we just started chatting about random stuff. So I was like, oh, $35. That was like one of her better prices for us. She'll kind of like do a low one, then like a reasonable one, reasonable in quotations. Then she'll do a high one. Then she'll do some low ones. So we haven't had time to go to our estate sales recently just because of like the auctions and we have a lot of stuff right now, or else we would go more often. All right, moving along. We got this from Anetta's mom. This is a 10-inch, like just unbranded musical Christmas moving Santa. They don't even say Santa on it. It's just like literally some generic thing. So her dad and I tested this. He's good at testing toys and stuff like that. So the moving doesn't work, but the music plays perfectly fine. So I did disclose that. I am a little nervous. I'm hoping this is not like a return, but I disclosed it's like in the title. The first thing it says moving doesn't work, which is kind of the first few words are the most important on eBay, like for your listing. So to actually like take it up for like this thing is not working means I'm foregoing them seeing that it's like a Santa Claus figure. So we'll see how that works out. $10. It's still pretty cool when you take them out of the box. I just don't want to take them out. We don't have time. All right, moving along. We have a really old listing. This is something that like Anetta got me into. All these like weird paper stuff, ephemera, basically books. This is American Airlines B737-800 Airframe Power Plant and Electrical Volume 1. Yeah, I don't know like how official this thing is. This was a super old listing where the bin it was labeled in didn't exist anymore. I just happened to find it with like I was like, I think I would have put that over there on the bookshelf in the storage unit, and it was. So I was lucky. $18.90 for that one. Sorry, I should hold that up more. This is like a huge manual or whatever that is. Yeah, I'm assuming it's some kind of manual. All right, moving along, we have a DVD. This is G.I. Joe Valor versus Venom. I actually was never into G.I. Joe. I don't think any of my brothers, there's four of us, four boys, none of us were into G.I. Joe. Ironically, it wasn't something that we liked. We liked more like X-Men and, superheroes and stuff like that. This DVD sold for $7, but I don't know anything about it because none of us were into G.I. Joe. All right, moving along. We just weren't. All right, moving along, we have a combo order. Someone bought a bunch of miniature stuff, so I'll go through it quickly. It was 7 items, I think, and $73.20. So they picked up 3 different War Machine Signar figures right there. One, here's another one. It was like a Spriggan, some kind of like other heavy war jack. I forgot the name. And then like this Warcaster who's metal. They got a War Machine Prime rule book. They got this, what is this? Robotica, like graphic novel or something like that. Sorry, I had like weird fonts. Kings of War, which is a different miniature game, fantasy miniature game rule set hardcover book, and Dust Warfare campaign book right here. So yeah, this all sold for, yeah, I think I already said it, $73. I was just double checking if I grabbed the right thing. Okay, whew. I thought I grabbed the wrong thing. I thought I was like mistake. I am mistake free so far today, but normally with this many items, knock on wood, I normally have an issue. All right, so there's all that. Oh, and they also got some like word miniature. It's like, it was like a witch lady with a bunch of little hogs. That's like how I described it. Yeah, I mean, you probably can't see it, but like it's gonna be, yeah, there's like 5 little hogs and some kind of like witch lady for word miniatures, like a tactical, like satirical, like horror-ish, like miniature game. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it, I think, or at least that's what I think of it. All right, next up we have another Blu-ray. This is The Artist right here. Never saw it. This is gonna be an older movie, so someone's gonna be probably wanting to watch this for the holidays. They got a Blu-ray, probably a DVD player, so they're gonna want to watch it on Blu-ray. This sold for $6. Nothing too crazy. We get those pretty cheap. All right, then we also have an old Tinker Toy incomplete set. I think I probably grabbed this at like an estate sale or something. So it has the cool like original box. A lot of the pieces, I obviously counted them, or like there's like a little booklet, or I looked it up and it was incomplete, but there's still like a lot of the pieces are in there. This sold for $10. They paid a lot in shipping. Excuse me. All right, moving along, we have another wargaming like miniature book. Yeah, we had a lot of like interesting things sell, honestly. Oh, here's some of the cards for the combo order for the War Machine figures. Wargaming World Solo, Ancient to Modern Solo Wargaming. So I guess just like a rule book that shows you how to, yeah, I guess just play by yourself, having like different rule sets for armies and stuff. This is $18.89. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm running out of space to put things. All right, next up is something I got from auction. I got a bunch of dead card game stuff. This is Spycraft, the collectible card game. This is like a little like starter kit, which is kind of like a weird one. It's Shadow Academy. I don't want to like lean this over because it's like a huge storage container, which is cool. There's a bunch of tokens, and then they kind of just like put the 2 decks on 2 sides. So this thing is mostly empty. And then there was like some booster packs someone must open up, and they put like the open up packs in there. So I listed it as the complete box with some extra like booster packs open up. This sold for $19.59. I don't know much about the Spycraft game. It doesn't look too interesting to me. It's by AEG. And I've seen it around a little bit, sold a little tiny bit of it. All right, moving along, we have some frames right here. We'll get these stuff occasionally. It's just like a black, like kind of like a metal or ceramic. There's like a bunch of flowers up here as like the outline. So yeah, it's gonna hold a bunch of frames. Probably honestly like a holiday gift for someone. They're probably gonna fill it up with photos and give it to someone. That sold for $12.60. It does look like a good one. You can kind of find that stuff all over the place. They do kind of sell slower for us. All right, getting out of breath. Next up, we have 2 books right here. Book Lot by Robert Adams. These are fantasy novels. We have Stairway to Forever and Castaways in Time right here. So yeah, just 2 paperback books. We get a bunch of these books. Obviously, I lotted it up by the author. Robert Adams is sold for $8.96. All right, next up is more Warhammer 40K bits and pieces. as I already talked about a million times, I got a huge auction, a bunch of these for 40 bucks. They've been selling a lot. These are for the Tyranid right here. I just have like different numbers in the bag, so that's how I know which one to grab. This one sold for $17, which is, honestly, it's been great because I spent $40 on it. I probably made like 100 different listings of the data cards as well as the bits and pieces. Only sold like 1 or 2 of the data cards, but a lot of the bits and pieces. I just don't even have time to count because they're kind of like all in a bunch of baggies, but I keep meaning to just because I'm curious. All right, moving along, we also have Crimson Skies right here. This is like a pamphlet, like a little promo thing. I have a couple in here. I actually made a note to myself, relist new photos. I always make myself notes. I now do them in the app under the custom SKU. But yeah, this is just going to be based off of the airplane miniature game. I don't know too much about it other than there's like a couple of additions. I think it's still running at this point. I think $17.50 for that particular issue, and I get to relist another one, so I brought it back here to take new pictures. All right, moving along, we have some custom wooden. These are like Reach little miniature area of effect accessories. I'm using like the wrong word. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right here, but these are basically little tools that you use to show like if this warjack, like how far his axe will reach. You put one of these next to it and it shows, and then the little circles are going to have different like effects and stuff. These were like wooden, and then they have like laser etching on it, so they were kind of like custom. These sold for $14. I could tell it was War Machine and Hordes because I looked up some of the effects and they matched with some Warcasters. All right, next up is a piece of art. Told you we sold a lot of different weird stuff. This is Man and Woman Drinking Wine. We got this from an auction house when they were moving from one location to another. We just grabbed a bunch of art. I'm not good at selling art, but I do occasionally do it. This only sold for $9.07, but it's cool because it's like already matted. It does have a lot of wear and tear, but like it has all the information up there. So I think it looks pretty cool. All right. Yeah, that was only $9, but we got a lot of stuff from them for like, I think it was like 150 or something at the time. All right, next up is a magazine, Retro Fan right here. We do pretty well with magazines and catalogs and stuff like that. And the back is Johnny. You haven't seen this one? This is one I can tell by the bin. We must have got this actually a long time ago. Probably from like an estate sale. I can just tell because of the bin it was in, and then I was just like looking at it. She probably didn't remember it. And then there's Johnny Quest, which was a blast from the past when I saw that. I remember watching that cartoon. So I was like, oh, wow. This sold for $6.93. All right, next up is a little Post-it note thing. I got a bunch of these like little, honestly, I don't remember where I got these from at this point. I want to say a estate sale. All right, this is Freedom's Holy Light right here. So yeah, it's just a little like Post-it note. Oh, no. It looks like this was, no, we got this from the auction house when they were moving. Same section of stuff in the storage unit. So these were, I think, like they would hand these out to people as like a flyer that, hey, you can buy a pack of 25 of these or something. I think that's based off of what I'm reading back here. So yeah, they bought this one for $5. I have a bunch of these. I list kind of like whatever, and like honestly anything. I thought the little front looked cool. All right, moving along, we have a board game that I've never played. This one's called Digging. Reiner, I can't say the guy's name. I'm not going to try. Never mind. I almost tried. People like this board game designer. I forget what particular ones that they work on, but they have probably like 100 different board games. This is probably someone trying to collect all the board games by that particular designer. This box is pretty beat up. There's like wear in the back. So yeah, it's probably just, like I said, someone probably collecting, or they're going to play it. Like who knows? It's like a card game or something from the back. I can tell in the pieces. This sold for $9.77, probably because of like wear and tear in the box. All right, next up, speaking of board games, and I have played this board game, not this expansion. This is the Seventh Continent. This is going to be the Swamp of Madness. I got Seventh Continent base game, another expansion, which can also be a base game, which had the white box, and I got 8 of these expansions at auction for like $50. Yeah, it's 55. This particular expansion ended up selling for $55 itself. I don't know why this one's more expensive than all the other expansions. I'm assuming it's either more fun or rare or less people had it. It's probably like, or a combination of all of them, honestly, at this point. We did play the base game. We liked it a bit, but then we eventually just kind of got, I think I got like bored of it or something. I'm not sure. Do you remember why you ended up liking Seventh Continent? Because we never, yeah, we played it for a bunch, probably like 20, 30 hours. The game quickly is you're picking an explorer. You'll have these curses that you're trying to heal from yourself. Each curse is basically a different story or a quest. but the continent is all these little square cards that you lay out parts of the map at the time, and you go explore them. Good things happen, bad things happen. You find stuff. You're trying to solve the curse, which is like the mystery. And there's certain points where it's like, oh, you cross this bridge, you have to like fold up some of these cards, like move them away. It's like kind of like there's like a fog of war where you're constantly going through the continent and exploring it. All the different quests, I believe, play on the one big continent, and it has, there's a lot of cards. It's a pretty in-depth like adventure story game. We did have good fun with it when we played it. We just never solved the first curse. We never even got through the first one. I think I might have been playing some rules wrong. So, all right. Next up, we have Pathfinder Adventure card game, Skull and Shackles, The Price of Infamy. This is pack number 5. I've never played this. I've been recommended this. This is going to be like a co-op, I think, deck building game where you pick a Pathfinder character, and then you're going to have a campaign you go through in different scenarios. This is going to be more, I believe, more scenarios for the particular Skull and Shackles. This is going to be like their pirate-themed little campaign game. So yeah, it's a pretty cool one. I got the base game plus 6 or 7 or 8 decks, I think, for, I don't remember, it was like 12, 20. So it's somewhere around there, you know. I was like, okay, I'll bid on that and get a base game with a bunch of expansions. Like this one expansion sold for $12.59. All right, next up we have a summer 2019 Pusheen box exclusive 1-ounce flask little like container thing. And I got these like mystery boxes back in the day. She didn't care about this particular one. You could probably put lotion in it or something else, or soap or sanitizer, or I guess alcohol if someone's wants to do that with the Pusheen 1-ounce little thing. It sold for $5.60. I doubt it. Who knows? I don't know. All right, next up we have a little police car diecast car that we got from people flipping storage units. Let me see which one I forgot. This one needs repair. The little like light pops on and off. It's honestly, I just put it back on and it hasn't fallen off again. So I think it just needs to be like glued in, or maybe it's supposed to come on and off. Sorry, I'm not showing it right here. Yeah, New York Police Department 1364. I don't know anything about this one. Like, I don't know too much except for that we can find these diecast cars pretty cheap. This sold for $12, which is pretty cool. All right, next up is something I can talk a lot about, but we're low on time, so maybe the next time someone buys this is Kingdom Death Monster. This is the 1.0 rulebook. I was explaining to Aneta that when I bought Kingdom Death at the convention a long time ago, they had a deal where I got the upgrade kit for free. And then when I got the upgrade, when I went home, I actually took out all the stuff that the upgrade kit said to take out. And I've been selling a lot of it on eBay. I don't know if I have all of it recorded, but I think I made more money from just parting out the stuff that were like updated, like just from Kingdom Death, which is crazy, which is cool. So I basically like got the base game and made money from it, and I still have the base game. All right, this sold for $18. The rule book is really obnoxious when you're playing with 4 people, because the game goes up to 4, even with 2. There's a lot of like stuff you have to read and choices you have to make, and to like, oh, what did you say? What happens if I have like blind or this effect? So having multiple rule books means everyone can just go to the page themselves and read it themselves, which is a huge like quality of life if you're playing the game seriously. So that sold for $18, which is awesome. All right, next up is a PC game. I'm all over the place. I'm running out of breath, everyone. This is great though. I like being frantic in this way. This is a Sim Tower PC game right here. I don't know anything about this one other than like I played a bunch of different Sims games back in the day. SimCity was one I remember. Obviously, Sims with the people. I'm not sure what the tower one is. You're just building up vertical, I guess, like on a tower. It's sold for $7, so it's really cool that someone's going to enjoy a PC game. We like to collect physical games if we haven't talked about it enough on the channel. And I have a huge collection, mostly hers. All right, next up is Takenoko board game promo bags. This is like a cool family, and honestly adults could also play this game too. You're playing like a panda and a farmer, and you're like growing bamboo, and you're collecting it. I've never played it. I owned it at one point. I read the rules, never got around to playing it, but it does have nice pieces. I know it's a good game. I know people like it. These are promo bags, little upgrades, so I'm not sure what the base game has. I don't know if it's like plastic baggies, but these are like really nice quality bags. I have one more set of these. This sold for $11.34. All right, next up is also like a weird one. It's a 46. What I put was metal board game, RPG coins, bird wheat, 5/8 inches. I couldn't figure out what this was. On one side it says like IT. Another side it looks like a bird with 2 heads, and there's like the leaf in the bottom. I thought this could be like real coins for something, but I couldn't figure it out. So I just ended up putting board game coins because it was with other board game bits and pieces I had bought. The person that bought this, like their username has like copper in it, so they actually might know what these coins are. It sold for $13.22. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I almost didn't list them just because I was like struggling to figure out like what they were. And I'm like, you know what? If I just put all these keywords, someone will see it. I have a good picture for it or good pictures. And then it sold it. This took like a couple weeks or a month. All right, next up is more miniatures, Battlefield miniatures. These are just, oh, I just put infantry soldiers. I also didn't know what these were. I just see a bunch of infantry. I'm not sure what millimeter this is. They have like bayonet rifles. They have like helmets on. So yeah, maybe, I don't know if this is World War II. I have no idea. This sold to repeat buyer for $22.40. All right, next up is a set of Gloomhaven scenario and objective tokens. I knew these would sell, and there's a reason. So Gloomhaven's a really cool board game. Annetta liked it a lot. I don't know what she thinks of it now. I like it a lot. Yeah, they're doing like a second edition soon, and they've done like other stuff as well. But this is for the original game. This board game was trying to mimic like a kind of like a computer game or a video game or like a MMO RPG where you pick characters and go through this massive campaign. They put everything in the original box. I just found it annoying that they have like so many pieces already in the box that they should have just made more. So the problem with these pieces, I'll just show you. Well, I don't know if you can see, but it's going to be like this one side has a D and the other side has a 2. Oh, they also chose like horrible fonts. I can't even tell if this is a B or a Q or stuff like honestly, it becomes an issue. This one has a B and this one has a 4. This one has an H. This one has maybe a G or an E. They chose really bad fonts. So like having to like constantly, when you're setting up a scenario as the person who's hosting Gloomhaven, it has a lot of setup. To have these tokens that were double-sided with no rhyme or reason, it was just kind of like however the printer or however they like agreed to just, get it printed, would have been much better if they just had all of the tokens, like maybe they probably would have needed 12 more or something. It would have been fine. So I think someone was probably so tired of flipping these over, looking for like, because if you need like 2 C's and 2 A's, you have to like make sure that one of your C's doesn't have the A. It was just honestly a headache. So with all of that, this sold for $6.99. I can't stress it. Like, this is like not even a percent of the board game. So they get $7 from it. It's pretty cool. But I knew someone else would buy these, and I parted out a Gloomhaven that I found that was not complete. So it made more sense to part it out than to sell like a 70% complete Gloomhaven. It would have been awful. Like that's unplayable at that point, pretty much. Too much stuff you had to work around. I had another set of these because I found another incomplete Gloomhaven that was pretty bad. So it was cool. Next up is Necromunda Ash Waste token right here. Let me go ahead and see where I put them. I actually lost track of them. All right, it's going to be right here. These are going to be a bunch of little miniature cardboard tokens right here. So this is just a sheet for whatever Ash Waste like campaign or box that was. This sold for $13.99. All right, next up is going to be a record. I don't know anything about records, but we got a bunch of free ones. This is The Whimsical World of Irving Taylor. So I don't know if this is like holiday themed or not, but this ended up selling for $10, which is great for something that we got for free that was going to be thrown away. All right, next up is another die-cast police car right here. This is like a Dare one right there with the Dare in the back. It has like 280 on the top. It's a pretty cool looking car. This one ended up selling for $16.79. So those cars are adding up to where we'll eventually break even. Obviously, that's not good because we want to make money from it. All right, but moving along, this is a really old listing. This is a welcome, like hand-painted mallard duck, door entrance thing that you can hang up right there. It's like some wall decor. This is a really old listing. I can tell the table we listed on this sold for $7. So like, it's a super old pickup. I think the person's going to be happy with that because it feels and looks better in person than even good photos, if that makes sense. All right, moving along, we have a really cool item. This is more of an expensive one. New open box Tunnels and Trolls Japanese deluxe edition right here. So yeah, everything's in here. This is pretty cool. This sold for $111.99. I pay up for this stuff like this because this is from the person where we got anime figures and stuff from, and they always have like unique rare oddities, and they end up like, honestly, I think they just like source this from someone they play games with that like lives in Japan. So they end up getting like really unique stuff like that. All right, next up is a board game expansion for a board game I've never played, Kitchen Rush. We do own it, but We've never played it. I don't know. Anetta grabbed it. It just doesn't look like my style of game. I would eventually play if we just had time. There's not enough time to play all the video games. These are just a bunch of mini expansions that were from like a Kickstarter or something like that. So yeah, here's a bunch of cards. The other thing had like mop tokens, wine tokens, fish meeples. All right, so that sold for $17.49. I do know people like the game, so I'm not downplaying it. I don't know. We just have a lot of games to go through. All right, next up is Arthur and Friends. The first Almost Real Not Live CD or tape right here. This is just Arthur and Friends, just like a little CD. I think this is probably gonna be like music on it. This just sold for $8.39. I think we got that from like an estate sale. All right, we have 2 items left, and then we're done. We have a vintage Tonka white race car with red stripe right here. It says Tonka on the bottom. This one I could tell looked pretty decent just because I know people like Tonka, and I could tell this looked older. This, I think, I don't know what year this is from. It doesn't say. Maybe from like the 70s or 80s, just based off of the other stuff from the storage unit that the person got. $14 for that one, which is pretty good. And then the last thing is a lot of 3 cheaper than dirts, like catalog magazines. America's Leading Sporting Goods magazine, February 2000. I'm not sure what the other 2 ones are, but yeah, there's going to be like a bunch of like guns, camping gear, survival gear, survivalist stuff. So yeah, stuff like that sold for $10.49 for a set of 3. I have a bunch of them. Well, that's everything. We have to get packing. I hope everyone has a good start to their week. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to help support us, take a look at the shop down below.